Hi, this is Mariah Gullo from The Hollywood Reporter, and I'm here with Laverne Cox, and this is Meet Your Emmy Nominees. Hi, Laverne.
Hi.
So Laverne is Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series for Orange is the New Black.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so good.
Do you like it better than comedy series?
I just like, I like that. I still can't believe that the Academy has recognized this, and I think it's different for me this time, the second time around, because I'm an Emmy voter now, so I see how many submissions there are, and I'm just like, it seems impossible to get a nomination. So I'm just so grateful. Thank you, Academy members, for thinking this work was worthy of being recognized. That means a lot to me, because acting is something I've wanted to do my whole life. It's the thing that I'm in my sort of capacity as a public figure. I'm called upon to do a lot of different things, and I always know that I'm an actress first, and I let everyone around me know that, and people sort of want to forget that. So it just feels really good that the thing I love the most and I work really hard at is being acknowledged. And this, particularly this episode in this season, that meant so much to me and means so much to trans folks.
I really want to talk about your character and the particular episode, Dr. Psycho, but first I just want to talk to you a little bit about the process of your second Emmy nominations. Where were you when you found out you were nominated?
I was in my apartment here in LA, and I had woken up early to watch the nominations, but guest actors are not announced when they announce everything else. So I saw them, and I saw that, and I was excited about all the nominees. And then then I got a call from Jamie over there. my publicist is over there. You can't see her, but she's on camera. Her name's Jamie.
She's cute.
So Jamie called me and told me, and I was sort of like, I was in shock. And then my manager, Paul, calls me when I'm on the phone with Jamie. I'm like, okay, Jamie, Paul's calling. And then Paul called, and then he congratulated me, and we started talking, and then I just started crying, because it's been, I've been with Paul for 10 years, and he's my first agent. I had freelanced with some folks, but he's the first agent that my first legit agent. And there were just a lot of years where I didn't work at all. I didn't even have auditions. There were years I didn't have auditions, you know, and it just didn't work. And I'm like, why am I still on Paul's roster? I thought he was gonna drop me, and he just always saw something in me that I really didn't even fully see in myself. And it's really been such a journey, and it meant a lot to me. And then I called my brother. And then we talked, and I cried again. I was really overwhelmed in such a I was shaking for 2 days, and I was calling people, and I was literally calling my therapist, and I was like, it was so much. It was just so. And I didn't experience this the first time. I don't know, for whatever reason, this time I was just so overwhelmed, and my body just couldn't handle it. I've been doing this wonderful somatic work. Somatic therapy is about sort of moving sort of trauma through the body, and that the body sort of never lies. And so maybe I'm just more in touch with that stuff now. And I was and I needed to just sort of release it. And I talked to my therapist, and Uzo Aduba gave me some incredible advice. Thank you, Uzo. I texted her, and she was like, how do you deal with this? She has this is her third Emmy nomination, so I'm like, okay, who do I know who's been through this, who's not so big a star that they're gonna be like, what are you talking about? And Uzo is a huge star, but she's also my friend. So yeah, it was really intense. It just means a lot to me and to a lot of people. I mean, I'm still the first trans actor nominated for a Primetime Emmy.
Yeah.
There still hasn't been another one, and since the first time I was nominated, so it's a big deal. Yeah.
What was the most surprising reaction you got from people who have reached out to you, maybe to congratulate you or to give you feedback about your nomination?
I can't say anything has been surprising. It's just been, it was again overwhelming. It's just my phone just was lit up for 3 days of people sort of congratulating me, everybody I've ever known who has my phone number or can message me on Twitter or whatever. So it was just it just was so, again, it was overwhelming. The love and the support is really, it means so much. And we just work so hard, and it's such a I think it meant so much to me too, because I'm barely in I'm season 4 of Orange Is the New Black, and so I don't have a lot of screen time, but this storyline meant so much to me, and I worked so hard on it, and I did so much research, and I wanted to make specific choices so we could really try to put forth what the experience of solitary confinement is on a psychological and emotional level for people, so maybe people can understand that this is indeed a violation of the 8th Amendment of the Constitution, and it's cruel and unusual punishment to cut people off from human contact. And so it was just really important to me. I think it was important to me too because I was working on a documentary at the time about a transgender woman who had spent time in prison, Cece McDonald, and had spent a lot of time in solitary confinement. So I was shooting it at the same time that we were shooting this documentary, and I was interviewing Cece, and we were literally in the depths of having conversations with her about her experiences, and how, and she talks about this in Free Cece, how she was suicidal, and she it's real stuff.
Yeah. This is very important to you.
Yeah, it was really important to me. So I think that's why too that it meant it meant a lot to me, because it's a really important story that people need to know. Well, I didn't expect to get all.
It's okay.
Excuse me.
What do you think it is about the character of Sophia that really connects with the Academy?
Oh my goodness. I would have to ask Academy voters. I have no idea. I'm so grateful that she connects. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah.
What I do know is when I connect with characters, it's because I see myself in them, and or I see someone that I know, and there's something human and sort of unexpected. I love seeing characters on television and in film who feel profoundly human, and maybe I haven't seen that story before, or haven't seen it told in a way that highlights the humanity in a different way. When I saw Moonlight, for example, I know folks like that, but I'd never seen those stories told in a way cinematically that resonated in a new and fresh way, and made me understand something in a new way, right? I've always watched television to learn, and so I think when a performance and a character is created in such a way, I understand why folks do what they do in a way that I didn't understand before. So that's when I connect with something, and I think there's a lot of performances that are nominated this year that have done that for me. And so I don't know if that's what, I'm an Academy voter now, so I don't know if that's what they're connecting to with Sophia, but that's what I connect to with great performances. Yeah,
one of the things that I noticed comparing like cinematically Moonlight to how Sophia's character is treated in Orange Is the New Black is that it seems like they give you a lot of time to be expressive with your face. Like, do you feel like you're getting a lot of time while you're shooting? I know that television schedules can be very fast, but do you feel like, you know, compared to maybe some of your other roles in television, that you've been able to like really take the time to get that kind of camera time?
Yes, and I don't know if I would have been able to say this before I was shooting Doubt. So my CBS show Doubt, which is currently airing on CBS through August 12th, on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. When I was shooting Doubt here in LA, and then I flew back to New York to shoot the last season of Orange Is the New Black. And on Doubt, I'm playing a lawyer. It's network television. We have to get in commercials, right? And so it was so much, so many of my notes were like, pace it up. Basically, talk faster. And so I got back to Orange Is the New Black, and Nick Sandow, hey Nick, I love you. Nick was directing. He's such a good director too. He's a brilliant actor, brilliant director. Nick was directing, and I was like still in doubt mode. I was like, I was speeding through. He's like, you can take your time, you can slow down. And I swear to you, I will never forget that, because just having, it's a life lesson too, that you can slow down, you can take your time. That's a big life lesson for me right now, trying to slow myself down. But absolutely, I got back to Orange and I was like, oh my God, there's time. There's time to luxuriate, to really have the moment, to find the moment, to discover it. think about expressing things through my face. I understand that it is a visual medium, but I try to just live in the truth of whatever the moment is. And it's what's been really interesting watching my work is like, I'm like, oh, I did that. I'm like surprised myself about what is going on with my face or my body. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Because ideally, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about what is the reaction, like acting is reacting. What is the truthful reaction to the circumstances, to the other character, what they're saying, to what the director may have given me? What is my organic reaction to the external stimuli? Right. Or what's going on in my head or emotionally for me, or what's triggered for me emotionally by the circumstances. And so having those reactions be organic and be truthful in the moment is always what I'm striving for. So I'm always surprised often with like, oh, I didn't know I was doing that. But that's just what is happening in the moment. I do make specific choices about the character in terms of how she talks and walks and moves, but then even within that, there should be a space of the discovery of the unknown. For me, when I can have a moment when I'm shooting of discovery where something happens that I did not expect. Either the other actor has done something in the scene, or actors have done something that sparks something that I didn't expect, or the director gives me a note and that didn't, or it's just something comes up and I allow it to come up and something unexpected happens. That is really the best, those are the best moments for me as an actor.
I noticed at the end, the last time we see your character in the last season, you're in a maximum security prison and you're handcuffed to a wall and you're receiving some information. I won't spoil it for anyone. Yeah. But your face is telling an entire story.
Oh, thank you. Well, what's interesting for me about, I mean, my training is, I studied with my current acting coach who coached me on this episode that I'm nominated for, Brad Calcaterra. Thank you, Brad. Brad in New York, and then, but my acting mentor, Susan Batson, both Brad and Susan actually talk about layering moments, right? So that there's the text and then there's the subtext. And then there's the sort of emotional life, and then there's the physicality, and then there's the sensory condition. In any human moment, there's so many things going on right now. I'm aware right now of like kind of how cold it is in the room. I'm aware of how my ass feels in the chair, and like how my leg is maybe going a little numb because it's crossed right now. I'm doing all that. I'm having this conversation about Orange is the New Black, and then I'm thinking about the date I had last night and how so there's all of these things. So we as human beings are operating and running so many things at the same time, and so much of the work that I try to do as an actor is to allow all of these things to live at the same time, so that it's not just operating on one level. And Susan Batson really instilled that in me, and Brad has reinforced it. We can have multiple things going on at once. We can feel. There've been so many moments, right? I was just getting the Emmy nomination reaction the day I had that, when I was sort of so overwhelmed and I'm crying and laughing at the same time. So that like this is life. This is what, and so just allowing our humanity and the full range of emotion to live, to just let it live. When I let that live, when we as actors let that live, it should be something. Things should happen unexpectedly that we didn't know would happen, and those are the gifts.
What was the most challenging thing about that season for you, just performing that role?
Oh gosh, I think it was what I believed was required psychologically and emotionally. That what we do as actors is we mine the depths of our own personal experiences, and understand the truth of those, so that we can give those moments to our characters. So understanding that solitary confinement, that Sophia basically was coming out of having been physically assaulted in her salon, right? So she's physically assaulted in her salon, and she goes to Caputo for help, and she certainly threatens Caputo, which may have caused him to place her in solitary confinement for her protection. So she's still dealing with the trauma of having been attacked, right? And then the consequences of her being victimized is her ending up victimized again. So those two things are happening. I sort of made the choice when we understand that she's not eating, that she decides to flood her cell and she puts her food into the toilet, but she's probably not eating, so she's thinner than she was the last time because the prison has become privatized. The makeup and wigs that she got to, wear, the wig she got to wear because she worked in the salon, and the makeup she presumably got from commissary, she doesn't have access to anymore. So she looks very differently than when we saw her before. That was important to tell, is in terms of telling the story. But then going into the depths of that trauma, the PTSD that she was sort of experiencing, the being cut off from all human contact, the moment when Caputo says to her, that Crystal knows that you're here, and I'm like, you need to call my wife. And that moment when he says that to me, it's like, I'm already cut off from all human contact, and you're telling me the person I love most is not checking for me. It's like no one cares anymore. And the feeling of sort of being thrown away and being, going to that place for me as an actor in my own personal narrative, and I just went there again. I don't want to linger there too long because it doesn't feel good. Going there and having to be there for days, for an entire season, going to those places of abandonment, of trauma, where I did not want to live, where I was willing to die or get out of the prison. I mean, I think that there's a chance when I flood my cell that they may not come and get me, that I could just drown. There is a chance when I set my cell on fire that I might not live. So, I mean, I think there's a part of me that's like, it's Sophia that's thinking they're gonna come and get me out of here. They're not gonna let me die. But they've let all this happen to me so far. They've let all these things happen to me in prison that are happening to transgender people in prison right now. That trans folks are being placed in solitary, abused, and then placed in solitary, right? The night before I found out about the Emmy nomination, a woman in upstate New York named Erica King, we found out that she had been, propositioned for sex. She went to the COs in a prison up in upstate New York, and they were like, "Oh, this is just a problem," and they allegedly beat her to a pulp and then threw her in solitary. And she finally got a note out. Every time she would write a letter out to try to get it to the people outside to find out what was going on, they'd give the letter back to her shredded up, according to reports. And then she finally got a letter out, and we found out about it. And she was so terribly beaten and then placed in solitary. I'm like, Sophia was terribly beaten and placed in solitary. These things, what the fuck? I mean, what the fuck is going on in the world? And people trans folks are experiencing this kind of abuse and discrimination, and then we're further stigmatized by an administration that is doing what it's doing.
Absolutely.
So this stuff is really real, and it's real for me, and when you act, it has to be real for you, and it has to be this personal, and this storyline was deeply personal for me.
Yeah, and I just want to say, as a testament to your performance, your character, you can empathize with, you can see her go through so many things, but she still maintains her power. She's still a powerful person, no matter what. She's
a survivor. There's something in her that, and I love that they wrote, when I read the script, I was like, fuck yeah. I'm cursing a lot today. I'm like, but I was like, fuck yeah, she's gonna set this cell on fire. And she knows how to do that. And she's gonna fight for her life. If she's gonna go down, she's gonna go down fighting. Absolutely. And there are transgender folks all over the world who are fighting for their lives right now. And a lot of girls who've gone down fighting, a lot, and I think about those girls a lot.
Can we talk a little bit about the transgender military ban? It's very confusing right now. I think there was just a report today that the Navy is saying that they're keeping transgender people despite what the president says. Do you have any takes on what's happening?
Oh, God. I made a statement yesterday, and I'm so emotional right now. I don't know what I'm going to say right now. If it comes to it, I'm really tired of being loving and magnanimous when it comes to having conversations about the current political climate. As I just stated, that there are trans folks literally fighting for our lives right now all over the world. And when the President of the United States tweets out statements that we are burdensome and it further stigmatizes trans folks, it creates, it reinforces an environment that is already hostile to our existence. And I've said a lot about this already, and what I will say to trans people is that despite what he has said, despite what other folks say, that you are worthy, and I believe that you are anointed and you are placed here on this planet for a divine purpose. It is your job to connect with that purpose no matter what anybody says to you about you, and we have to fight to be ourselves, but it is a fight that is worth it. I have fought to be myself. I'm still fighting to be myself, but girl, it's worth it. Look at me now.
Absolutely. And to end on a more positive note, in Los Angeles, the school districts have long been very supportive of policies that protect trans kids.
Yes.
How important is that to the youth you speak with at schools? You speak to the youth at schools.
I've often cited, it was Assembly Bill 1266 that I believe became law in 2013, that Jerry Brown signed into law, I believe, in 2012. I might have my dates wrong, but I believe those are the dates. And that bill required schools to allow trans folks in the state of California to be able to play on the sports teams that are consistent with how we identify, to use facilities that are consistent with how we identify. And the trans folks and the parents, their testimony of how much safer they feel their kids are because of this policy. Hearts and minds have to change, and that's what what my job is in the media, is to work to change hearts and minds. But we also need to change public policy, because policies matter when it comes to protecting folks and making sure that our lives are treated as if they have value. And I've often cited Assembly Bill 1266 and the policies that were put into place here in California as an example for what we can do on a national level to protect trans kids and make them feel that their lives are valuable and they're safe at school, so that they can do what they're at school for. It's to learn. And I've heard from trans parents, parents of trans kids and trans kids, that they feel so much safer and protected and valued, and that's what we all need to feel.
Yeah, and because of Los Angeles being such a progressive state, there are a lot of trans actors that are going out to auditions today. Can you give them one piece of advice?
Can I tell you that, so the acting class that Brad Calcaterra, my acting coach in New York City, started in 2010, 7 years ago, was for LGBT actors. When we started the class, me and Jamie Clayton, you may know from Sense8, we were the only 2 trans actors in the class. I went back after Orange is the New Black came out, and there were like 11 trans actors in the class. Can I tell you? And so what's been so exciting about this moment, this Orange is the New Black moment that is so much bigger than me, it always has been, is that there's so many trans folks who are inspired to pursue their dreams of becoming actors, and when they didn't think it was possible before. So what I always say to actors is that you have to work on the craft of it, that you must study. I'm in acting class now. I have an acting class later tonight. I was in acting class the day I found out I was nominated for an Emmy. So train, continue to be engaged in the process of getting better, but also learn the business of it as well. The business of being an actor is just as important as the craft of it. And then never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. Be committed to getting better, make your own projects, and just persevere. And what is God's will happen.
Thank you. And Laverne, I don't want to let you go, so I'm going to ask you one more question.
Okay.
Who would you like to sit next to at the Emmys, and why?
Oh my gosh. A really hot man.
I think there might be some there.
A really super duper hot man who's interested. Because just sitting next to a hot man who's paying you dust means nothing. So if it's sitting next to a hot man who's like single, available, and flirting, that's amazing.
That's perfect.
There's qualifiers, right? We have to be very specific with what you ask for with the universe.
You have to say available.
When you are doing your manifestations, you must be very specific with the universe. Be intentional. The 4 agreements. Be intentional with your language.
Laverne Cox, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you on Emmys night.
See you then.
Bye. Bye.